So I have the possibility once again, happily enough, to pick the brains of Loiuse Klarsten, that is trend analytic at the Color House. And you have a very interesting book from Milano with lots of colors and shapes and textures and what have we for the spring 2011. So
yes, I was thinking it could be a good idea to look at the trends for spring through A+A Milan Trend Book. I think they have a very nice way of going into the season and trying to change our minds a little bit about how we consider color and pattern and print to go into our homes and offices and official buildings, wherever we are really. I don't really make a big difference between a home and an official place. I think that is up to the person.
They've grown together, so to say. We all work so much now, so we must have nice around us when we work as well.
Yeah, I think we make offices at home and we make home at offices. So that's why we also have to adapt to this and to make people feel happy and healthy at work. We want them to be very comfy. So, but I was thinking the trends. I mean, we're looking at 6 different trends here. We can't show them all because we don't have the time. But I wanted to show you a little bit what's happening in 2 or 3 of them, where I think we have a shift now towards more use of color and pattern. So I've earlier talked about how we wanted more color. Now this is starting to filter through, especially on smaller products. But yeah, and people start working with it, but it's like one red lamp and that's it. But I think now we've added pattern, and pattern also makes a background to all the colored products, so that makes more of a room feeling, and it's somehow easier to get it all to work together. It's just that we forgot how to work with pattern, because everything has been monochrome and just one color on a sofa or so. So we need to sort of reinvent and to shape it for the 2010s, how we like it now to develop in our homes. So why don't we have a look at Design Cruise, which is how to take the modern black and white forward, how to add monochromes in a way, yes, but in a graphic way. I'll so soon show you also on fabrics, but especially here in Scandinavia, we've been very white. We've been having totally white homes, and it's a little bit boring. I can see also consumers now asking for something more, asking for something, you know, older or new or homemade or something they got from granny. But what we're adding here is more or less fashion colors into interiors. They're very bright, but we're turning them, orange for instance, into a more saturated, almost burned orange. But it becomes like a basics bright when it's so white in the whole background. Beige is also like a new alternative to white. And the white is actually not white. It's not bright white, it's more ecru white. So thinking more natural white. Also to be a little bit more ecological. Here we are looking at the colors being quite two-toned, so a beige together with an orange or a black with an orange, or we do it like a little bit of tone on tone, tone in tone together with a black accent to make a pattern work, depending on what you're doing. Also crisscrossing, something which is a little bit more decorated when we come to prints. Something natural on the fabric, a small shine there, looking like a normal linen, but on top, as we said before,
orange snakeskin.
Orange snakeskin effect in a very classical shape on the print. So to really bring it forward, but in a graphic way, which makes it easy to come around with. In a very white environment, it's nice, and we feel happier about how it looks. So to find that feeling is important. If you're too scared with those shapes, you could also think, okay, let's go more graphic. So work with the colors in a very graphic way and think, okay, this is a very black and white background, white stripes. Work with the historical reference in a piece of furniture where we put the bright.
But still it feels very new.
It feels new. It's new because we're working with the stripes, we're working with but also with the modern graphic expression together with the historical expression and adding the color. In a modern way. I think that's, but we're learning and it's becoming something new for us to develop in our homes. Also working with the graphic expression on letters, which is very popular, maybe more in cafes or hotels and restaurants, but to make it like a print, almost like a wallpaper, and to maybe just use one bright. And I'm thinking orange is the new red, so orange is the new bright basic. So that's how we can talk about that. And then we're a bit more fancy, working more with the patterns, breaking them up, putting them together again, layers of prints, the old and the new together, and creating something technically modern, but somehow homemade. And that crisscross is very interesting, becomes more interesting.
What's this? It's like plastic.
Yeah, it's a kind of plastic material which they've made a white print on a see-through effect, so you get a transparent effect. So we can also see how you can work with the transparencies together with the brights, for instance, to separate a room or to move from one area to the other in a place. So how these patterns move into furniture, and it becomes more dark actually. But imagine the white background, so it's a quite light total impact. If we move forward to navy baroque, this is not the navy you knew. Navy, at least for Scandinavian people, is very almost vintage. It's wreck things. It's something very, basic stripe, blue and white, almost French childish, sailor. Or American East Coast style. But this is much more modern and much more adult, grown-up style, and also very timeless, so very beautiful timeless style actually. We're looking at the timeless home with the blue attitude as being modern.
And the tone of the blue is not like the navy blue, it's more like the indigo blue in a way.
Yeah, it's more, well actually the traditional real navy, when you look at the real navy, it's almost black. But when we all think navy, we think something jolly blue, but it's not like that. It's more like this blue-black color. So you're right, it's with this feeling of the purple almost in there. It's a quite reddish blue, which is followed up by this medium blue, which is a beautiful color. But you can also see how it comes through in a very modern context, and then it becomes new. So it's maybe not the sailor look we used to have in the past. Also brown is important, especially on things where it's natural, like leather or wood ideas, together with this very calm atmosphere, because this is a very calm type of style and consumer. They don't want a lot of colors. They don't want a lot of crashes in prints and stuff. They want it very, very subtle and relaxing. It's the home where you want to relax, and you're very, very reluctant to make it too chaotic. So how patterns grow into the textiles, but in a very, very sophisticated way. And here even in a very modern way. And I love this. I'm not a kind of blue person, but when I see this, I feel like, okay, they took some kind of a marine tradition, brought it forward, looking at this very new type of interiors where it's the skeleton type. You don't even know what material this is in.
It's very calming.
Yeah, but blue is the calming color. It's less heartbeat physiologically compared to the red. So I see that blue comes back as a trend, not only as something, we always sell blue, especially on the west coast in our country, but also in many other Nordic countries. So if we stop there and then we have a look at the more bright stuff, I was thinking maybe we should look at the how to use the girly lifestyle into trends, because we see how pastels filter through. We were very happy to see pastels now 2 years already, but we want to grow them into our homes also, not only on our t-shirts. So I think maybe you want it in a vintage way, where they here present the idea of vintage relax. It's a very calming way. It's a white wall again, but you put in these colors, but because they are a bit patina on, you accept them easier, even if they're quite bright. Here, it suddenly becomes more difficult to look at, but interesting and new. The neutrals together with the pastel colors. And don't forget to work on different materials like the glass, the sofa, where you'd get different textures and more interesting feeling. So either very, very small tints of pastels, or you go for it and do it really girly.
Yeah.
We wanted for a long time to be very unisex, but we are very bored with that.
But this girl, it's not the baby doll girl.
No.
It's more like the sophisticated lady girly.
Yeah, we're collecting references from the past, and there are so many examples of films and series on television that goes back to the past, and we are all so thrilled. And we're looking at their clothes and their interiors. I mean, there is Mad Men, there is so many of those where we are looking for the sophistication of the past. And we want to recreate that, even in a small portion. So the sophistication of it, and that's how you can come around and still play with your pastels. But obviously bringing it up in a bigger scale, on the furniture, or in the big rooms, maybe it's not too girly. You would be able to have a quite neutral big picture and then work in the pastels in the small picture, so to say. But I think also to have the more eclectic home is what we want to achieve. We want people to have a personality in their homes and to show their personality. It's been too much like a catalogue.
Yeah.
And we can't live life like a catalogue. We can have a story, we can have a theme, we can follow a trend, but we don't want the catalogue idea of in our lives. So daring to bring what I wanted to show here, maybe pastels. If you like pastels, go for it. But do it in a soft, sophisticated way so you don't drop dead after 6 months, but you can actually live with it and develop it. And then I think there is quite a few who would love to really indulge and go for it full blasted. There are some examples here at the fair, and I love it. It's like cake and, you know, everything that's really the child's memory of childhood. Going for pinks, for instance, as many girls do. Well, maybe you still want to do it.
Super romantic.
It's super romantic, but it's
sheer.
It's really listening to the super romantic soul in you and not pushing that back, but just go for it. And I think it's very joyful.